What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Got another Week 8 preview prediction video up for you today, and we're going to be talking about a big one in the Pac-12 conference, as there have been every single week in this conference. But we got the Utah Utes, we got the USC Trojans, rematch of the Pac-12 championship game from last year. You got the Pac-12 champs over the past couple of seasons in the Utah Utes, trying to build some more momentum here in Pac-12 play against the team in USC that really stumbled last week, and are going to be trying to prove to the entire country that last week was not who they are, that they can rebound. Should be a good one from the Coliseum in Los Angeles. We're going to dive into it here in just a little bit. But before we do, you guys know I got to say thank you for the support on the channel. There are many ways to help support me. Hitting the subscribe button, ringing the bell is probably the biggest way. So you know when videos get uploaded. You're also doing one right now by watching the video. And you can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else that you guys are willing and or able to do to help me support this channel. Whatever you guys are able to do means a lot to me. Let's go ahead and talk about Utah and USC. This should be a very fun matchup here in Los Angeles, going to be played in the Coliseum. And again, both of these teams kind of looking to build some momentum, right? USC coming off a very, very poor performance against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in South Bend. And then for the Utah Utes, they're just looking to gain some momentum as they have a lot of tough games coming up here in Pac-12 play. So let's go ahead and dive on in to the stats that both of these teams have put up so far this season. We are starting out with the road team, and that happens to be the 14th ranked Utah Utes. And when you talk about this Ute offense, I mean, it is definitely run well through the ground game, right? Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes have been serviceable enough at the quarterback position, but man, you take a look at this Utah team as a whole. This team has missed Cam Rising for the entirety of this season. Now, it hasn't affected their record too much yet. Maybe you could have won that game against the Oregon State Beavers if Cam Rising were to end up playing that game. But when I take a look at this Utah Ute team here, guys, this is definitely a team that needs to find a spark offensively, and they have been injured all year long, right? Cam Rising has not played yet this season. Neither has star tight end Brant Keithy. He has not played so far this season. However, there are some pretty good pieces right now that are running the football for the Utah Utes. And again, this is an offense that has been run through the ground game more often than not here to start out this, or at least throughout the first half of the season. Jaquindon Jackson came back last week, has 61 carries for 333 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.5 yards per carry. Jalen Glover's been running well, and then Sion Vaki, a safety converted over to running back, still plays a little bit of safety, but when he was asked to run the football, I mean, he's performed really well. 16 carries for 164 yards. That's 10.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns there as well. So this is a Utah offense, guys, that's going to have to find its spark. It's pretty solid on third down, doesn't turn the football over. Maybe you'd like to see the offensive line get a little bit better as well, but they need to find a spark because it's going to be really tough to keep up pace with the USC offense, even for how good this Ute defense is, right? They're only allowing 12.2 points per game. Their rush defense all year long has been superb. They're forcing turnovers. They're creating pressure. They're one of the best third down defenses in the entire country. But this is a different animal that the Utah Utes defense has to go up against this week, right? I mean, let's go ahead and take a look here. Sion Vaki is the leading tackler on this team as well. He's been rushing the football really, really well. So maybe we see kind of like a Micah Bernard style. Remember when Utah played him? I believe it was 2021 as kind of a safety corner and running back, right? So, and of course, Micah Bernard was on the team this year, ended up getting hurt. Just a tally of all the injuries that Utah's had to deal with so far this season. But you take a look at one man here by the name of Jonah Ellis, 9 sacks so far on the season. He almost has half of the 22 sacks this Utah defense has generated so far this season. He is a machine. He is going to wreak havoc on this USC offensive line. It's also a very, very hungry secondary. 7 interceptions on the year, 22 passes defended, 2 pick sixes. The USC offense has got to be careful here, especially after what happened last week in South Bend against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, am I expecting a repeat of last week's performance for the USC offense? No, not by a long shot. Caleb Williams and company, you could just kind of tell we're having an off week, right? Caleb Williams did not have an interception coming into that game against Notre Dame, and you know what? He threw 4 in that last game against the Fighting Irish defense, which, by the way, played absolutely spectacular. And this is a Utah team that will make you pay if you are going to make mistakes like that. And if you are going to throw picks, Utah will gladly take it. They'll take every possession their offense can get in this game. But I do not expect the Trojans to have a repeat of what happened last week, mainly because this offense has been so good all season long. Their 47 points per game is one of the highest marks in the country, almost 500 yards per game. You have the reigning Heisman winner in Caleb Williams, over 2,000 yards passing on the year, 23 touchdowns. Of course, those 4 picks I mentioned earlier on 70% completion percentage. Bottom line, it's a USC offense that is still really, really dangerous when it is playing at its best. Now, did the offense hurt the cause last week in South Bend? Yes. Do I expect it to happen again? We'll see. This is a Utah defense that is really, really physical, really, really aggressive. So USC is definitely going to have a tough time. And Utah has proven to be the kryptonite of this USC team in seasons prior. So we will really see here if this USC offense can have a good bounce back performance. We'll talk about that more when we get into keys to the game. But I mean, what more do I have to say about this USC defense that probably hasn't been said by myself or anybody else throughout the country here when talking about USC football? It is, without a shadow of a doubt, a liability. They are not winning the turnover battles like they were last season. They're not forcing all the turnovers that the defense was forcing last year. Now, albeit, there is a really good part to this defense, and that is the pass rush, right? This team does have a really, really good pass rush. You got guys like Solomon Byrd, Jameel Muhammad, among others, that have generated a lot of pressure to opposing quarterbacks. And hey, that has been a big bright spot on this USC defense, but everything else has just not great. I mean, you go back and take a look there in the game against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, defense did give that Notre Dame team a lot of short fields, and Sam Hartman and the statistics won't tell the whole story in that game, but you go date back to the game against Arizona, where they really, really struggled against not even Jaden DeLora, but the Arizona backup quarterback. Guys, this defense is a liability. It's got to get itself turned around. Now, the good thing is here, or I guess not good thing, but the beneficial thing is here, is Utah's not a very explosive offensive team in any sense of the word. So we'll see if this defense can even show signs of improvement, but it leads me into my what to watch for, keys to the game, whatever you want to call it, just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you are watching this one. I've talked about it a little bit in this video, but Cam Rising remains a mystery, and now there's talks about him possibly getting a medical redshirt. So I'm going to act like he's not playing in this game. Is it a possibility that Cam Rising suits up and plays in this game against USC? Yes, absolutely. And if that happens, this is the Utah offense that's going to find a spark very, very quickly, whether it's this week or whenever he happens to come back. It's a Utah offense that will suddenly get moving a little bit more, right? But until I see definitive proof or definitive evidence that Cam Rising is going to play, this offense has got to find ways to keep up. And this offense has got to find ways to score points and win football games, especially when you consider the offense that is on the other side of the ball here against USC. That it's an offense that can score at will. Now, this defense here with Utah is physical. It's tough. It's been the kryptonite for USC in games prior, and it's going to make it really, really hard on Caleb Williams, his receivers, Marshawn Lloyd, and especially this USC offensive line that has really struggled at times this year, especially last week against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is a physical, tough defense that will force turnovers, that will generate pressure, and that will make Caleb Williams and company pay if they have a game like they did last week. But here is the thing, right? I've mentioned this word kryptonite a couple times in this video because when you go back and look at previous matchups between these two teams, hasn't really been pretty. And Utah's been able to, at least when you go back to the Pac-12 championship game, they've been able to dominate the USC Trojans, even without Cam Rising, even without some really good offensive playmakers. Will that still be the case here on Saturday? Interested to find that out. But like I've said so many times throughout this video, guys, while the Utah defense will make you pay for any mistakes that USC makes in this game, Caleb Williams and company are going to bounce back. They are, I do not believe that they are going to have as poor of a performance as they did last week. And how big do they bounce back, though? That's the question, right? Is this a USC team that's going to be able to overcome this Utah defense and hang 40? In which case, if they do that, there's no way Utah's going to come back here and win this game, especially with the way that the offense has been playing as of late. Or is this a USC team that's maybe going to moderately bounce back, but there still are a couple mistakes. The offensive line is still leaking a lot of pressure through. Maybe there are a couple of turnovers here, right? That's going to be a big key in deciding this game. You got to hold on to the football, and you got to be the USC Lincoln Riley style offense that we all know and love. And this defense, don't really know any other way to say it. It is not up to standard. It is not up to code in any sense of the phrase. But can it show us that they are able to improve? Can it make some improvements based on what we've seen so far throughout the year? Utah's not going to have the offense to keep up with this USC offense. So if USC can go out and score points in bunches, Utah's not going to have the offense to be able to keep up. But if this is a USC offense that is struggling, that is sputtering, that is turning the ball over, that is allowing a lot of pressure, that is punting the football away, this is the Utah offense that is going to be good enough to be able to score some points, to be able to make this one interesting. But guys, I just don't see it. USC is the favorite here in this game. FPI likes them. It's an 8 o'clock game on Fox. And guys, I got to be perfectly honest with you here. If USC has a performance like they've had so many times throughout this season of just scoring touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, it's going to be really hard for Utah to come back and win this game. USC is definitely going to struggle here in this game, especially early on, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Utah get out to maybe something like a 10-0 lead. But I do not see Utah. If this game, or I should say, if USC's offense is able to get rolling, Utah will not have the offense to be able to come back. I think USC will bounce back and win this game. Utah covers. This defense will be physical and maybe force a turnover or two, but the Utes simply, without Cam Rising, do not have the offense to be able to win this game. Now, if Cam Rising plays in this game, buckle up, friends, because it could be a very, very interesting one. But from what we know right now, sounds like he's not going to play. I do not think Utah has the offense to keep up, which means USC will win this football game. That'll do it for my thoughts on this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.